All right, hello and welcome. Look, if you've ever stood in front of a class and seen nothing but students staring at a blank piece of paper, well, you're in the right place. It's a feeling we all know. In this explainer, we're going to build a really practical framework for teaching writing. And this is designed just for you, our new Schola trainees. So let's jump right in.
So, I want to kick things off with a story about a teacher we'll call Alex. Now, Alex was teaching a class of 13-year-olds, and he gave them what he thought was this brilliant, creative task. He said, right, you're going to design a new music festival for Regents Park and write a formal proposal for it. Sounds great, right? So he handed out the paper, said those famous words, off you go, you have 30 minutes, and then he sat back just waiting for the magic to happen.
But the magic did not happen. Instead, what he got was, well, nothing. Just this paralyzing sound of silence. You could see students just staring at the page. One of them, carefully wrote the date, underlined it, and then just sighed. Another one literally just put his head on the desk. It's that moment, isn't it? The one every teacher dreads. The big question is, why? Why did it all go so horribly wrong?
So what Alex ran into here is something we call the blank page problem. It's that terrifying moment, when a student has way too much freedom but not nearly enough structure, and their brain just, it freezes. So let's get into it. Let's diagnose exactly what happened in Alex's lesson, which, let's be fair, was a really good idea in principle.
Okay, so what happened here? Well, Alex's lesson basically fell victim to three big things. First, it was completely unstructured, the classic siren song of free writing. Second, the cognitive overload was just massive. I mean, think about it. The sheer amount of mental energy needed to go from a blank page to a full proposal, it's huge. And this combination did something really crucial. It sent the student's affective filter through the roof. So let's talk about this affective filter for a second. What is it? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like an imaginary barrier, a mental wall. When a student feels anxious or stressed, or even just a bit self-conscious, that wall goes straight up. And when the wall is up, guess what? Nothing gets in. No learning can happen. And by giving them this huge, undefined task, Alex, without meaning to, basically built that wall brick by brick for every single student in the room.
Now, to his credit, Alex realized his mistake later that day. And he wrote something in his journal that just hits the nail on the head. He said, I asked them to build a house without giving them a blueprint. And that's it, isn't it? It's a perfect analogy. He'd asked them to do this incredibly complex thing, write a proposal, but gave them no plans, no materials, no instructions. He wanted a finished house, but he'd completely forgotten that his job was to teach them how to be the architects first.
And this really brings us to a huge idea in teaching writing. It's this constant tension, this battle between focusing on the final product versus focusing on the process of actually creating it. Alex's mistake? He was 100% focused on the product.
So let's break that down. You've got two different approaches here. With the product approach, you're really just testing what your students can already do. The teacher is basically just an evaluator, holding a red pen. But the process approach is a total game changer. It actually teaches the skills needed to write. The focus shifts away from just the final text and onto all the little steps it takes to get there. And your role changes too. You stop being an evaluator and you become a guide. And that, right there, is the crucial shift we need to make.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we become that guide? Well, at Schola, we use a simple but really powerful framework that is, essentially, the blueprint that Alex was missing. We call it the Schola Writing Blueprint. Think of it as a map for the entire writing journey. The blueprint is built on a really simple, logical flow. It's 3 stages: pre-writing, during writing, and post-writing. So in the pre-writing stage, that's where we hook the students and we give them the map. During writing, that's where we guide them as they put pen to paper. And then in the post-writing stage, they get to apply feedback and review their work. It's that simple. Right, let's open up the toolkit and see what this actually looks like in the classroom. All right, now for the really good stuff, the practical part. We're going to look at some actual activities and tools that you can take away and use in your own classroom for each of these 3 stages. And I mean, like starting tomorrow in your next lesson. So, first up, the pre-writing stage. Our main job here is to get that affective filter as low as possible and give our students a really clear target. So how do we do it? Well, we can start by activating their schemata. That's just a fancy word for what they already know about a topic,
Get them brainstorming in pairs or groups, but the most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, is to deconstruct a model text. You have to show them what a good one looks like. And a brilliant little activity for this is to give them a good model text, but all jumbled up, and get them to sequence it. They learn the logical flow of the writing without even realizing they're doing it. It's fantastic.
Next up, the during writing stage. And the key word here is support. We need to provide scaffolding while they're actually writing. So, rule number 1, never ever leave them with a totally blank page. Give them a graphic organizer, a simple table or a mind map to help them structure their ideas. And put useful language frames and sentence starters up on the board. Things like, the primary goal is, or furthermore we propose. And honestly, one of the best things you can do, get them to write the first draft collaboratively, in pairs. The fear of failure just evaporates when they're working together.
And finally, we get to the post-writing stage. Now listen closely. This is not about you taking a stack of 20 essays home to cover in red pen. Please don't do that. The goal here is to get the students involved in the process of reflection and improvement. And a structured peer review process is absolutely perfect for this. It gives them a sense of ownership, and it develops their critical thinking, and there's a really simple but effective tool we can use for this called tag feedback.
And tag is just as simple as it sounds. When a student is looking at their partner's work, they just follow 3 steps. First, T, tell them something they did well, something you genuinely liked. Next, A, ask a thoughtful question about what they wrote. And finally, G, give a positive suggestion for how to make it even better. That's it. It's constructive, it's totally student-centered, and it's so easy to remember.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From Alex's nightmare classroom full of silence, all the way to our 3-stage blueprint. But look, if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, I want it to be this. This is the golden rule.
Never assign a piece of writing without a model. Always, always, always provide a good example. Your students have to be able to see what that finished house is supposed to look like before they can even think about laying the foundation. That model text, it's the most important part of the whole blueprint. It's the architectural drawing that makes everything else possible.
So, as you go off and plan your next writing lesson, I want you to think, which of these tools are you going to use to map out your student's journey? Are you going to try deconstructing a model text? Maybe have a go at collaborative drafting? Or perhaps introduce tag feedback? Just remember, your job isn't to be an evaluator. You're the guide. You're the one who provides the blueprint that turns a blank page into a brilliant piece of writing.